Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl Mini Mindset Reset. I'm your host, Danielle. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, a life coach to women, and author, one thing has become abundantly clear. So much of what gets in our way in our daily lives is not only how we think, but what we think, our mindset. Because of that, every other week, I'm taking your requests and questions and handing over quick, easy to use, practical strategies and life tools to help you shift your thinking, create calm, help you understand and express your emotions, harness your inner power, and learn how to navigate your personal story in 15 minutes or less. After all, how else can you get your life together? So let's shift your perspective with the tools and conversations that help you in the throes of change. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast mini mindset reset starts right now. Worry is an emotion that, although it can be helpful when working through certain situations, if it's used to positively drive plan-based or result-based thinking, yet when it's done in excess and occurring multiple times throughout any given day, of course we know that worry and stress can be problematic, not only to our mind, but also to our body and our soul. Stress from worrying affects our circulation of energy in the body. It disrupts the nervous system. It impacts your liver because as your stress hormone increases, the liver dumps excess sugar into the bloodstream. And of course, it impedes your inner voice from allowing your wisdom to be heard and acknowledged. Big things. Rebekah from Chicago, Illinois, wrote in and said, Danielle, a few weeks ago, I listened to one of your podcasts where you gave a very simplified definition of worry and anxiety. You said worry and anxiety are when thoughts and your mind are solely focused on the future and trying to create a resolution or solution without having all of the information you need. I have to tell you, my mind was blown by this. I've never had more relief from anything than I have those words. This understanding immediately made me realize that I was doing something else that you mentioned called forecasting. I would like to know if you could speak a little bit more about forecasting and offer some maybe steps to help us all worry less. First, Rebekah, I'm so glad that explanation did that for you. It is so true. When your mind is focused on the future, we can deep dive into worry. Those thoughts sound like, what will happen? Will I be okay? Is this what I want and need? And we really get into a place where we ruminate. Beyond all of those issues I mentioned just a moment ago, worry also can create confusion and stagnation, right? So we have this picture of how things should be, but pictures are still frames. They hold us in place, right? So let's quickly move through a few things before I go into forecasting and give you a few simple steps to stop worrying in this brief time that we have together. So first and foremost, if you stay in a negative mindset, such as worry or anxiety, what happens? Your brain quickly adapts and creates patterns of thought that become the base to everything that you think about, feel, and experience, right? So it's the frame. And when this occurs, even neutral things, so events that are not good nor bad, things that you wouldn't normally connect to, so experiences that you have that you quickly move through and they really don't mean much to you, these become negative. The brain is always looking for ways to keep us safe. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But what we don't want you to do is to get into a place where every experience that you have is framed through worry, anxiety, upset, negativity. So with that understanding, let's move to forecasting and get a basic understanding of what that is. Forecasting occurs when we do not have all of the information we need or we've never had an experience before. It can also occur around events that have a lot of tension around it. So maybe you have a family member that you don't get along with, and you begin to forecast how they will respond or act during a certain event. That is also forecasting. And remember, the brain's job is to keep you safe. I mentioned that just a moment ago. Safety means looking out for any potential threats, any problems that may make you feel unsafe. Anything your brain does not have a pattern for can make us feel nervous. It can make us feel scared, uncertain. We've all experienced this before, right? And what most occurs is that when we don't have an understanding of what may happen, we begin to forecast what may go down, right? So forecasting, we are casting a net into a situation and trying to play out scenarios in our head in hopes of creating that safety that we need. But so often the things that we create never occur. Forecasting in this manner really wastes our time and it wastes our emotional energy. Another aspect is that we hardly ever forecast an event going good. We lean into the negatives. We even fall into it harder because we don't want to create something that is even greater in uncertainty. And what happens then? Anxiety goes up higher. And when things don't go in our favor, or at least when we think that it won't, guess what? We create a pattern of this is how things are always going to be. This is a very serious place to really identify if it's happening within you and change the pattern. So how do we stop worrying? That was, of course, Rebekah's original question. What I'm about to hand over is going to feel a little too simple to actually work, but I promise you, if you put them in place and keep yourself really accountable, these steps do work. So step 1, ask yourself if the problem at hand is solvable. Meaning, am I worrying about something that can truly impact me, or am I leaning into imaginary what ifs? And if so, are those really solvable? Think about a what if. This may occur, it may not. And if something actually doesn't have grounded evidence for actually manifesting, then we have a really hard time coming up with practical steps to address a problem. If this is the case, what you're doing is worrying and you are truly forecasting, you are not dealing with an actual grounded problem. What you're dealing with is a thought-based situation. Okay? So step 2, remember and recognize that thoughts are not facts. Neither are emotions. So what we want to do is get down to the facts. What is under all of this worry? What is the true matter? Is this issue as big as I think it is? So get down to what's really occurring. Oh, I am worried about the fact that my company is dissolving and may be purchased. Okay, that's a fact. The next fact is I may not have a job. Okay, that's a true situation that, yes, would cause us to worry, but what are our options? Once you know that, move to step 3, and that is to delay the worry. I know that sounds counterintuitive, it sounds counterproductive, but if worrying is interfering with your day-to-day life and you can't stop, it's time to try to put the worries into a certain point in your day. So you give yourself permission to have worry periods. For example, you might set aside a half an hour after dinner each day for worrying. So if the worry pops up in your head at any other time, you would recognize that it's there and say, you know what, I'm going to address you at 5:45 or whatever time it is that you assign, right? But when that worry period arrives, you pick up the pen and you process on paper. That way we're not spending our entire day dysregulated. We're not spending the whole day worrying and stuck in this trauma loop or this thought loop or even this forecasting and anxiety loop. We really have space to handle our lives and then space to process. Worry periods are like true magic. I hope you'll try them. Step 4, I want you to categorize everything that you find when you take pen to paper and challenge your worries. And what I mean by that is once you process them into individual categories, I want you to get really specific about what's happening. Is this worry about my family? Is it about myself? My relationship? Is it financial? I want you to get down to the finite details. What is the true issue, right? We did that a little bit with the facts, but here we can really put them into places that they are impacting us. Because when we understand the worry is not a blanket issue, it becomes easier to break down and process. A lot of times when we worry, we think that it's covering every single thing in our life, and that's not usually the truth. This is a really good way to give ourselves a little bit of space from the problem and get into what is really the next piece, and that's step 5, looking at the shadow side of yourself. And this is an interesting one. We generally don't have real worries about things that we've never experienced before. We feel a little anxious, but we don't necessarily worry so much unless we already have a pre-built limiting belief around that thing. So think about this. You close your eyes, you begin to visualize, say that the problem is financial, and you allow yourself to go to a time where you had similar financial problems or just financial problems in general. And what I want you to do is really look at what occurred then. Is there something similar between the two events that is coming up? Is the worry now bigger because you didn't properly take care of something in the very first issue? What are you feeling? Is this new? Is this history? What is it? And get to a place where you can accept that a lot of times we are actually responding to something that actually has very little to do with what's happening right now. Step 6, I want you to come up with a tentative plan. Not a set in stone plan, but a tentative plan. Set in stone plans here are not good when it comes to worry. And the reason why is because we are then looking for things to be forecasted, right? We're looking for things to, go a certain way. And if they don't, what happens? It increases our worry. So set a tentative plan, a step-by-step something that can help you get started to change the worry, but not necessarily a set in stone plan that you must follow with regiment, let's say. That's not what we're looking for. We really just want you to give yourself a break, hold space for yourself, and be able to process in a way that's healthy, in a way that allows the thought process and the emotional body to connect, be on the same page, and not be dysregulated. When we experience worry, we decrease our energy. We decrease our life force energy. We have to keep ourselves as balanced as possible, and worry is the exact opposite of balance. So I want you to really dive in. Think about your thought process, go through the steps, do these things to help yourself, and, remember to move your body, right? We have to physically process. We have to move our thoughts. So get physical. Literally, go for a walk, move, dance, run, do yoga, kickboxing. It literally doesn't matter. Do whatever feels best to you. Don't overthink it. Just do it, right? In all of this, the really big aha is to don't go down, right? Don't go down physically or mentally or emotionally. Remember what I always say, the only way through anything is actually through it. So get to work. Don't run from it. Don't suppress. Don't become afraid of the work. Just do the work. Stop worrying about everything that is occurring and do the basic steps. Practice them. I hope that this works for you, Rebekah, and to everyone listening, I hope this works for you too. Challenge yourself. Find balance in your mindset, and remember, worry is a thief of your precious time. Instead of worrying, try spending your time doing what works for you, right? Do what's best for you, because you do deserve to feel your best, and worry always stills the best of you. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl mini mindset reset. If you have a subject or strategy request, email us at getyourlifetogethergirlnow@gmail.com. Or you can visit our website at getyourlifetogethergirl.com. If you're looking for daily inspiration or tips and tools, join the growing community at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thank you for being a valuable member of this community. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.